Hi, this is Greg, and I've been getting a lot of requests, well, at least a couple of requests on showing off my rig and showing people how it worked. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm a little embarrassed by this, but because I've never done this before, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what we have. Obviously, it starts out with the Chrome, right? So the Chrome sitting here, and I've got my Journey sounds loaded at the moment. So we've got Still They Ride, right? So so anyway, so that sound was just from the Chrome, right? I have these crappy little computer speakers here that run that. Anyway, so that's where it all starts. But if we walk around to the other side here, this is the USB hub that I was talking about the other day. It's a 7-port USB hub. It's made by Amazon. I don't know who actually makes it, but Amazon sells it. And it's got 7 ports. It's also powered. And unlike a lot of powered hubs, instead of having just a 5-volt power supply, it's actually got a 12-volt power supply. And I got it that way specifically so that I knew for sure that my devices were going to be capable of running off of it. All of the sounds will come out and they go into my mixer here. I only have, at the moment, 2 sources, right? So if we take a look at my mixer, it's probably overkill at this point. But I've got 2 sources, one being the Chrome, the other one being the audio interface, which comes out of the Surface, which I'll show you in a moment. But this is my Tascam. My Tascam audio interface, probably not the greatest interface in the world, but it does its job. It also has MIDI in as well, MIDI in and out, as well as microphones in and out. And what I use that MIDI interface for actually is I have some older keyboards. This one here is the Kawai K1. I've had this one probably 20 years, and it's a little 8-bit keyboard, but it's got a nice little surface, and I can actually use it with Reason. Oh, yes, that's right, Reason. So this is my tablet. I bought it specifically for this purpose, but I also use it as a little desktop as well, or a little laptop as well. But so far, so good. So it runs Reason 8.3, and I'll show that off in a moment. But I also have some other gadgets here. You may have seen this lit up. This is a foot pedal interface called a 12-step, and it'll do a chromatic scale among other things. And every single one of the buttons, not only is it a trigger, or can it play an individual note, but it can also play a chord built into itself, so I don't have to program the Chrome at all. It'll also play, each individual button acts as a rocker, so it'll go up and down. It's got aftertouch built into it. It's also touch sensitive. So if I put my foot on here, it's not going to make a sound right now because I don't have it programmed at the moment. But if you notice, it's lighting up. So I'll show you that in a minute. And then my pedals. So here's something interesting that I discovered. If you take a look here, this is the EXP2 pedal. And, it's an okay pedal, but I was having issues with it because when I would put my foot on it, as soon as I let off, it would change where I left it in the position, and that really wasn't going to work. So on one of the forums, I found out about this Yamaha pedal, and this thing, I'll tell you what, it's $20 less than the Korg pedal, and it's just absolutely fabulous. It's made like a tank. It's not going anywhere. So I've got that, but if you notice, I still have that pedal over there. If you notice, I've got an M Audio sustain pedal that's connected to my M Audio. What is it? KeyStation Pro 88, and then the Korg pedal. And the Korg pedal also does a half sustain, which I haven't actually used that much, but the capabilities there. And of course, I got this Korg pedal, the momentary switch there, and I use that mainly to turn on and off when I'm doing the Foreigner set. I don't use it with Journey at all, and I haven't used it at church either. So anyway, so these are my pedals. But what I found is that with this 12-step, if you notice, that orange cord is plugged into it. It actually has a pass-through for it for a second expression pedal. So what I'm using the EXP2 for is to trigger the Leslie on the B3 emulation in Reason. So we'll get to, once again, we'll get to Reason in a moment. I also wanted to show off these little headphones. There was a couple years ago, there was a contest, not really a contest, but you collect the caps from Pepsi and Mountain Dew, and one of the prizes that they had were these headphones. And I looked them up. They're made by Monster, and they're about, at the time, they probably don't cost as much now, but at the time they were $150 to $200 online, and I got them for free. And the only thing is they got Mountain Dew logos on them, so you don't really want to use them like, you know, on stage or something, but for home, I mean, they're fabulous. So, all right. So this is my 88 key keyboard, and it's fully weighted. It's very heavy. The thing weighs about 80 pounds, but you know, it's lighter up here, heavier down there, and it's got full controls, right? So I've got all these knobs here, and all these faders, and some buttons over here, and you know, these little controls and transport controls here. But I found that with the Krome, without a whole lot of programming, I really wasn't using all those controls, and yeah, that wasn't really working out too well for me. But once I got the Surface, and once I started using Reason, I found that I was actually using the controls a little more. So I'm using currently all these faders. I'm using those as drawbars, which is really nice, which I wasn't able to do with the Krome, because as I found out pretty quickly, the mixer in the Krome, there are no controls, no CC numbers for MIDI with the Krome. So there was no way to use those faders as a replacement, and there's no way I'm going to be adjusting these in the middle of playing, even though Dan Stesko does in his videos. And then I also have this little device at the top, which I just bought recently, which is another MIDI controller, and if you notice, it has sliders of its own, and some knobs, and all these doohickeys, and you know, if I push the buttons, they light up, and oh, so pretty. But the biggest thing is that it's 9 faders, even though this one's side to side, so I can use those as drawbars as well. How do I do it? Well, let's see here. So as I said earlier, everything goes into that USB hub, but they don't really communicate with each other all that well until there's some sort of controller, and that's what Reason does for me. Also, if you take a look, and this solved one of the problems that I was having, I also have MIDI out from the M audio going to MIDI in the Krome, and I'll explain that in a minute. All right, let's look at Reason here. So if we load Reason, ta-da! Boom. So if I load up a synth like this, you notice it's triggering both the Krome and Reason. That's important to note. Okay, so if I turn the Krome off, that's just one of the synths. So Reason functions as a rack, and it emulates a rack. So if you look here, this is like an echo unit, reverb unit, you know, delay, all this stuff. And I honestly haven't used all that stuff that much, but the way it works is you can run devices into other devices, ins and outs, and you know, that sort of thing. So you can basically create an effects rack. It comes with synthesizers. You know, it's got all these types of synths built in. You know, there's a drum machine built in that you can load, and you know, that sort of thing. And controllers that are MIDI based, they can go into, they can all go into the computer, and you can do like an override, or you can program the drum patches in this type of thing. I haven't used the drum machine at all, but that's one of the many things that I can do with it. The biggest thing that I've done so far is I discovered this organ B3 emulator called B3 Combo. And that's what you see in some of the pictures. Now, if you notice, I've got two files here that I've set up. One is called Greg Organ. The other one's called Chrome Organ. The only difference between the two is the Greg organ uses those drawbars, and the Chrome organ uses those drawbars. You can't use them both simultaneously, at least that I've found. I'm sure if I loaded two versions of the organ, I probably could. But let's go ahead and load the Chrome organ, because that's what I was doing if you were looking at the picture that I had from Sunday morning. All right, so if you take a look at the rack here, at the very top here, if you see, it says Chrome right there at the top, and it's programmed for channel 6. Okay. This took me a while to figure out exactly how to do, but because I've got that set on channel 6, if I load up one of my programs here, let's go with Any Way You Want It, right? Which is famous for its organ sounds and everything. If you take a look at Any Way You Want It, with the timbre parameters, channel 1 is an external device on channel 6. So if you look here, and I'm going to have to turn that up because I can't hear. Actually, it's on my pedal and I haven't turned the pedal up. All right, there we go. So there's that. But that's all programmed on these drawbars here. Watch. So I'm going to go ahead and hit a chord. Let's go with, now let's do something down here. All right. I'm just going to sustain it. Watch this. And of course, it's proving me to be a liar here. Oh, it's because I'm using the Chrome patch. I'm sorry. Here we go. Pull all the drawbars down. That's that. So because I had programmed that pedal within reason, MIDI channel 6 going through the Chrome back in. Actually, the pedal doesn't go through the Chrome. Sorry. So the only thing that the Chrome actually controls are the keys themselves. Everything else, this controller uses the drawbars. The 12-step down there controls the volume pedal. But watch this. This should trigger it now. Oh, of course it doesn't. All right. Anyway, so I can take on these. Let's say that. See if I can reprogram. Let's go with tone. And I say edit remote override. Let's see if I'm going to switch this to user on the Chrome, and I'm actually going to go with knob 2. There. All right. So I adjusted that. So I hit OK. Now, when I adjust that knob on the Chrome, so I'm turning the knob here like this. If you take a look, that tone knob is turning as I turn it on the Chrome. The same thing goes for this other controller as well. So if I remove that programming that was on the Chrome, say clear remote, then I go back to it and I say, whoops, having the touchscreen sometimes is a little sensitive. So then if I go up here and adjust this knob, boom, now suddenly, let's replace just for right now. So now when I turn that knob up there, now that tone knob is being turned. So by having these extra controls here, because somebody was asking, wow, why would I need so many knobs or whatever? That's what I'm doing, is I'm adjusting it up here. The same goes for the Chrome. But in the Krome, it's sort of backwards from Reason. So Reason, I was programming the button to the control. With the Krome, you're controlling the control, you're setting the control to be what the Krome has. So if you take a look in the manual, each individual control has a CC number, and each one of these can be programmed as a CC number. I've pre-programmed this, so I'm not going to go through programming the device, but if you go to your Krome pages here, let's say, whoops, that's media, sorry. If I go into global controls, controllers, right? CC assign, you take a look at these CC numbers, right? So for example, the control gate, that's CC22. And if I switch this button, that's going to be CC22. It can be controlled by one of these if I program this knob or this slider as CC22, right? But how do you get this control to the Krome? Because the Krome and this are both USB or MIDI, but there's nothing to, this is only USB. The Krome has both USB and MIDI, but remember, it's going through Reason, right? So if I go in here, and I'm going to start with a fresh Reason just to make it easier. All right, so if I load up Reason just on its own, there's a device built into it called the external MIDI device, right? So if I load, or external MIDI instrument. So if I load the MIDI instrument, if you take a look, there's a device name and a MIDI channel. It's very simple. So all I do is I select what device that I want. In this case, I'm going to be selecting the Krome, and I'm going to set the Krome to be channel 2. No, let's set it as channel 1. Okay, so now anything that's on channel 1 currently, when it goes into Reason, it's going to be going out to the Krome. Hey, I'm back. So as it turns out, a reboot took care of it. Isn't it always the way? So if you take a look now, the external MIDI device is set to MME Krome, right? So I've got all my MIDI devices in there, 12-step, MIDI out for the 12-step. That's for, I guess, for its secondary device. The Samsung Graphite MF8, which is that one there. But what this is for, external MIDI, is for an external device that you're going to control by Reason, right? So we're going to select the Krome. So now, keep in mind, the 12-step is controlling Reason, which is passing it through to the Krome. And if everything is okay now, if I take and look at the timbre parameters on these, both the general channel is both for channels 1 and 4, which are both strings, one high, one low, right? So now I should, it's not working. Let me check my general MIDI device. Oh, that's why. Boom. So now, with my foot, so that's what I was telling you about with the aftertouch. So anyway, so that's how I'm controlling it with the foot pedals through Reason. So I'm going to bed now. But that's basically my whole setup. I need to figure out what I'm going to use these pedals for exactly. Well, they're a neat little toy at present. I don't have a specific function other than that pedal for the organ. What I might do is use it to trigger things like thunder and rain and you know, that sort of thing. Or maybe if I have an ARP that I'm going to trigger. See, that's the one thing that I had issues with the Foreigner material, was I'd be playing, in the middle of playing I want the ARP to trigger, and I had to trigger it with a button. So I'd set it like somewhere over here, and I'd try to get over there. It was just kind of a pain. Well, now I could just be playing, and boom, boom, with my toe. Just like, you know, hit it.
All right, catch you guys later.